My fellow youths, you who can hear me, who is listening to my voice at this moment, I want to speak to you, the youths of Nigeria. You have seen what is going on in the country, and the Bible says, "My people perish for lack of knowledge." Because the governor of Rivers State lacked knowledge, that was why he ran into the trap set for him by his enemies. And that trap was the Supreme Court rubbish court judgment. I want to be very, very assertive in this language. We don't care who is involved. It is time we speak out. And as Amadioha King, as one who is interested in the traditional and cultural ethics improvement of this country, I think I am in a position to advise on some issues, if not all issues. But this issue of state of emergency in Rivers State does not only concern the citizens of Rivers State, it concerns the citizens of Nigeria. Number one, the state of emergency declaration or proclamation by President, what was that monkey's name, by una president, tells you that he has misused his power of incumbency. And that is a crime, punishable by removing him from that seat. He is not fit to be Mr. President. Number two, constitutional breach. Mr. Bola Ahmed Tinubu, the bat, because a bat has no sense, wake up and begin to announce state of emergency like as if we are in the military rule. Like as if there are no longer learned men in this country called Nigeria. Like as if we are all fools in this country called Nigeria. And he stood and began to vomit rubbish in the name of state of emergency. That is nonsense. The crisis in Rivers State has not reached to the reason. It's not enough. Has not created enough force or imbalance to call for state of emergency. And if the government feel there should be state of emergency in Rivers State, then it should follow due process. We have a due process. That was during the era of late President Yar'Adua. Due process was enshrined into the Constitution. Due process was accepted in our democratic system. For crying out loud, we are in democracy and there are processes of doing things and getting them right. And we cannot claim to be educated. We cannot claim to be professors. We cannot claim to be doctors. We cannot claim to be sons in this country and under our nose. That thing is abusing the privilege of Mr. President in Nigeria. Apart from the constitutional breach, let us look into the hierarchy of governance. As a state, the state is an autonomy that has its own judiciary. And if anything is to be done, it has to follow according to the outlined step of proceedings. For crying out loud, Sim Fubara, the governor of Rivers State, is elected. He is not on a military regime. He was elected by his people. And the election of officers, even local government, is under the umbrella of National Assembly. As far as governor has conducted the election with the Rivers State Independent Electoral Authority and have elected officers like local government and then installed them. If they have not been installed, if the election has not been conducted, the Supreme Court has a right to stop the election. If the officers, the elected officers, have not been sworn into office, the Supreme Court has a right to suspend them. But in as much as the executive business has been conducted and officers sworn in, is no longer within the apex of the Supreme Court. It is now the duty of the National Assembly to enact due process if the elections are not duly conducted. It's not Supreme Court business. If individuals are contesting the seats with each other, then the Supreme Court can pass a verdict of who won or who did not win. But in this case, there is no contest, but rather that the executive business should be nullified after swearing officers in. It is not within the judicial responsibility of a Supreme Court to pass such order that an elected local government chairman should not function. It is not. Go and check the laws. It is not within his jurisdiction because it is under a state executive business. Now, let us come into the era of emergency. That was where they threw the trap to Fubara, and Fubara embraced and jumped into the trap by making hasty decision. A leader doesn't make a hasty decision. A leader doesn't bow to pressure. A leader controls pressure because the aim and the objective of every governance is control. So Fubara, you need to get up and be in control. You have to exercise control of the state. You are the number one citizen, the commander-in-chief. And if National Assembly have not served you a letter through the Attorney General or whomsoever responsible to reach you, my friend, I will advise you never to leave that seat. Mr. President or Tinubu or whosoever you call him does not have the right to suspend you as a governor. He doesn't have the right. If there is a state of emergency, then let him push in his militaries while you sit and watch how the military control the emergency that he declared. He can't tell you that you are being suspended from your office. As who? That he is who? Says who? From where? Which law? Which law said that? Listen, just give me 1 hour to sit on that seat as governor of Rivers State. Then I will tell Tinubu and Wike that they don't know anything. They don't know anything. So fellow youth, what am I trying to educate here? I want you to understand that do not believe that what is going on is the right thing. It is never the right thing. And let me also put this across. This is those small things that will trigger the problem that Nigeria is going to face. I am passing this message. Every family, begin now to prepare because a huge problem is coming into Nigeria. A crisis is coming. How this crisis is going to begin, it will be like play. It will pass backyard, it will come front. It will go back and they as if it's a play and something drastic is going to happen. So let us prepare. It's coming. President Ahmed Tinubu has become so reckless, very reckless, and very terrible in action. He is not worthy to be called a president. This is not drug law. This is not drug cartel, man. You are not running a drug cartel. This is a country. It is only in the drug cartel that you wake up in the morning and tell you I suspend you because they are working for you. For crying out loud, the governor of Rivers State is not working for you, Tinubu. He is working for the people of Rivers State. He is serving Rivers State under the constitutional governance of Nigeria. He's not serving Nigeria. He is serving Rivers State. And Tinubu, you don't have right to come and wake up and say you suspend him. The only people you could have said, why didn't you ask the judge of the Supreme Court where he got the idea that the 27 lawmakers should be reinstated in the middle of the day? And Fubara accepted that. If I were Fubara, the next morning I will announce their suspension indefinitely. I will not accept that judgment. Then while the chief judge of the state now takes up the matter to the council of judges to know if the judge has such right or not. But my governor, you were in a haste to implement because you wanted peace. Do you think there is peace in Nigeria? Before you sit there, were there peace in Nigeria? Before you were asked to come and sit there, were there peace in Rivers State? No, tell me. If somebody want to use peace to deceive you, have there been peace in Rivers State even before you sat as a governor? There have not been peace. So why would somebody use peace to threaten you when you are peaceful? Governor, Sim Fubara, I know you to be a very peaceful human being. I know you to be a very intelligent human being. I know you to know what you are doing, but I don't think you could succumb to this rubbish. Because if you succumb to this rubbish, you have disgraced democracy. If you succumb to this rubbish, you have disgraced the River State. If you succumb to this rubbish, you have entirely in its entity rubbish your nation a job. Let me tell the truth. So, I will advise you to reply, Mr. President, through the same declaration he made. Go on there, make your own declaration, and let him understand that you know the law and you understand the proceedings of democratic governance. And then let him learn the hard way through you. If we know and we don't want to do the right thing, then we will do it by force, the right way. We will force you to do the right thing. So it is time for us to get up and force this elected officer to do the right thing. If we will begin it with Rivers State, then so be it. We cannot continue to tolerate nonsense in this country. We cannot continue to tolerate, continue to embrace what does not favor the future for our children. What do the president and this present APC government want the youth to learn? Is it the way politics is being played? If this is politics, then politics is not supposed to be part of governance. If this is politics. If this is the way politics is played, then it's supposed not to exist among humans. Politics we know is diplomatic and goes with policies. President Tinubu, you have never implemented any policy that is visible. President Tinubu, since you assume office, Nigeria has been worse than ever. I don't think there is anything whatsoever that qualifies you a president. In your speech, you are not. In fact, I don't even know how you find your way to be a governor in Lagos State for the first place. Let us call it this, because I have analyzed you. I have looked into your past leadership. All what you did, all what you have done, you couldn't prove that you did Lagos. You were sitting down and somebody was running. You were just the boss. And we don't do the boss in governance. I emphatically tell you that you don't possess any quality of leadership in you. Ahmed Tinubu, Mr. You possess no quality of president in you. Education-wise, you are not there. I have listened to your talks, and you cannot, you don't have the required lyrics of presentation. You don't know how to present matters. As Mr. Leader, you cannot present issues properly. I have listened to you, I have watched you. Social relationship as a leader, you lack that principle completely. So tell me the qualities that makes you Mr. President in Nigeria. If not that you bought it with money. If not that you were rigged. So how can you prove yourself a leader? Tell me. What do you want we the youth to do? So we the youth should run into rampage and follow your footsteps. If we follow your footsteps, where will we end up? We will end up being destroyed. And everybody in the country, every youth will now begin to follow your footsteps. Who do you think will stay here? So, in conclusion, we want to say that the emergency declaration by Mr. President is reckless. We want to say emergency declaration by Mr. President is unconstitutional. I want to say that the emergency declaration by Mr. President do not meet up the required due process. I want to say that the emergency declaration of Mr. President is a flaw to national integrity. And I want to say this, that Mr. President and his declaration is nothing but stupidity in the height of it all. And I challenge the House of Reps, I challenge the Senate, I challenge the judges and the sons, the professors of this country, wherever you are gathered, I challenge you that you sit up and correct the mess of this country so that we, the youth, can have a future. I rest my case and I wish you well. Thank you. Join us for our next episode. See you. Bye-bye.